ran across this tweet scrolling Twitter the other day. A lot of new entrepreneurs waste a lot of time trying to optimize their days. I tend to see it as procrastination masquerading as productivity. The faster you confront the work, the faster it gets done. Alex Hormozy said that. Can you click the like button if you feel personally attacked by that? I thought it was dead accurate. If you feel a little bit called out because planning and making all your systems and having everything just so might be a little bit more addictive and what you're prone to do instead of actually doing the work, this video is for you. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how time blocking has been my very favorite tool for going on 6 years now and how I have adjusted it over the years. When I first started doing it, when I started my business, I had no kids. Fast forward to now, I have 2 little kids, so I've had to work through seasons of pregnancy and maternity leave with this system. And I've also grown a team, which is a lot bigger, so my job has changed in my own business. So I want to talk to you about how time blocking is working for me now in 2023. Look down below for a free multiple page guide on how to batch your days. That goes along with this video. It can be a good workbook for you as you listen to this video. While you're down there, click subscribe and the bell next to it. Hello, if we've not yet met, my name is Ashlyn Carter. I am the CEO of Ashlyn Writes in the Copy Bar because not knowing what to say or how to say it shouldn't be the thing holding creatives like you back from selling your stuff. I typically talk about copywriting hacks over here, but I get asked a lot of questions along the way about how I'm building my business and things that I've put into place that have worked well for me. So I'm rolling the curtain back a little bit and talking about that in this video. Let's get into it. Number one, this is why I think time blocking is important for you to consider no matter what your capacity is or what your life stage is like. So time blocking is the act of putting like things together into buckets on your calendar and going ahead and carving out that space. So it's essentially reserved, time blocked for that activity. Kind of like letting your calendar serve as your secretary for you, or your calendar gets to say yes or no to different activities based on the blocks of time you have available. I'll get into the nitty-gritty receipts about why this works and some of the receipts and the data. I'm one of those "but why?" questions asker, so I'll get to that in a minute, but back up. I've been talking about time blocking for a long time, so what I want to do right now is talk to those of you who have implemented this before, or if you've never done this, I've got 2 questions for you to consider as you get started time blocking, or as you reset for your current life stage, which is going to change constantly, your business stage too. Number 1, when are you most productive? Right now, at this point in your life. Like I just said, this has changed for me over the years. I was a proud card-carrying member of the 5 a.m. club for years, even before college, all the way through my working 20s. Then I got pregnant for the first time, and it does not fail. First trimester of any pregnancy, I am down for the count. I need so much more sleep. I get pretty nauseous. So that whole time block schedule that I have in that phase of my life is out the window. I usually have more energy during those seasons of my life from like 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Some people have an energy spurt in the late afternoon. So you do you. That's the beautiful thing about having your own business as an entrepreneur. You can control this. Go ahead, comment below. When are you most productive at this stage in your life? When can you get like 1 to 2 hours of deep work time where you're in your zone, you're loving it, you're doing your thing? And let's normalize making weird hours work, because like I said, the whole 9 to 5 thing just doesn't work sometimes for different stages of your life. I will say I do typically roll best in my truest self in maker in the morning, manager in the afternoon mode. So if you've never had that nugget, there it is. It's a good one. It's from Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. I'll talk about that more at the end of the video when I talk to you about what a day looks like for me. Number 2, the second question that I want you to ask is, what is holding you back now? Why is time blocking not currently working, or what's stopping you? This changes as well. So if the whole concept of batching and putting things in blocks isn't working, hit stop, think about what is it, and I'll tell you my 3 lately. Number 1, I've let my rules slide. I'm my own worst enemy. I am queen of making rules and then telling people on my team, oh, just don't worry about that. You can reschedule, you can schedule over that. No. If anything, having my executive assistant, Claire, be kind of the guard dog of my calendar, be the one that says, no, Ashlyn, you are blackout during this time. You gotta work, you gotta get some stuff done, and I'm scheduling these on the days you've already said work best for it. Thank you, Claire, for putting me in my place. Another thing that holds me back, I'm procrastinating because it's easier. Or I am afraid to get the thing going that I need to get going. If you have to call yourself out on that, you are not alone, me too. Another thing that held me back around the calendar change from 2022 to 2023, my team had grown to a place and I was in way too many meetings. So I had to make some adjustments and figure out what are other ways that we can sync our minds, but maybe not have an hour on the calendar completely blocked out. So those are the two questions I want you to think about. Number one, when are you most productive? And number two, what is stopping you? What's holding you back from time blocking? They will change at different seasons. For some people, it is just distractions. There was an interesting study done by Dr. Gloria Mark. It was cited in Inc. magazine that it takes you about 25 whole minutes to get back to the task that you were doing after you've been interrupted. That may be what's holding you back right now. It also, this has been one for me, your tools may not be up to snuff. If your computer, your drive, your system is running way too slow and you're getting so frustrated at it every single day, then just give yourself a day to pause, clean everything off. I'll link some tools below, my favorites when it comes to that. I have in the past realized that was holding up my whole time blocking system because I would have an hour reserved for a project, but I spent 15 minutes like mentally cursing the computer because it was not moving fast enough. I just needed to pause and fix it. Okay, so stop before we go any further in the video. Those two questions. Number one, when are you most productive? Comment below when your time is. And number two, what is holding you back right now from implementing or updating, refreshing your time blocking system? Okay, now that we've talked about that, let's move into two different methods that I have found work for me when it comes to time batching or time blocking. I'm gonna go through each day of the week right now and tell you what my focus is for each day. So on Mondays, it's pretty much Management Mondays. I spend that time catching up, getting my goals set for the week, talking to my team. I'm in lots of meetings on these days, mostly internal. It is a very people-y day. Tuesday is Client Work Tuesday. Wednesday is Product Development Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday are basically blackout days for me. No meetings, no people. I do catch up with my team on Slack, but I am in a hole. I'm doing a lot of writing, a lot of creation, a lot of deep work. I need chunks of time. I'll talk about that in tip number 3 in just a minute. But that's what those days look like. They're very non-people-y days. I do meetings on Thursdays, both internal and external, more external though on Thursdays. If I have podcast interviews, I try to get them scheduled for this day. I'm gonna pause. This goes without saying, with any schedule, there's gonna be some bend and some flex to it. If every entrepreneur ever had only Thursdays as meeting days, that would not work. So yes, you bend a little bit. And then Fridays, finish up Fridays, finance Fridays. Kind of a half and half day. I do talk to my team, but I try to wrap up as early as possible. It's my back pocket space for stuff that didn't get done earlier in the week. I'm doing my Finance Friday routine. I've done a whole video on that. I will link. I also run errands on this day, take the kids to the doctor, go to my tennis lesson. So that's typically how my theme and batch days have worked. I'm gonna give you a list over the side of some other ideas that I've heard in case these spark your interest. You could have a whole writing day or content creation day, coaching calls days, team day, administrative days, meeting days, a relationship building or networking day. I love that idea. Thinking days or lead generation days. So what does this look like in action? First of all, like I said, it's not a perfect system and you have to just go in knowing that, but essentially it helps reduce decision fatigue. Takes the guesswork out of a task that pops up on your plate. Goes on the docket of whatever day it fits on. I know when I get slacks and pings from Madison, my bookkeeper, during the week, there is a time on Fridays where I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna tackle all of them at once. I talked in a recent video where I outlined how I make decisions, that telling myself when I have an idea or like a squirrel moment, that is a great idea. Now is not the time. This is when that comes into play because, okay, it's not the time right now, but where does it go? It's kind of like having a bunch of buckets or bins on your desk, and when you get that task, you just put it in the bin on that day. You'll get to it then. I'm gonna zoom in more on my days in a second, but here is another little pro tip. I found this so helpful in my business life that I thought I might as well pull it into some of the things I do around the house all the time. What are regular routines that I'm doing that I can just say that gets done on X day? I've been doing this for only about 2 years, but it's worked. I have mail out on Mondays, so anything I need to put in the mail, this is usually shipping things back to old Amazon, shipping out anything that I sold on like eBay or Poshmark, just returns. Does anybody else just have returns sit in their house? I try to get those out the door on Monday. Text back on Tuesdays, millennial problem. I always have so many unread texts, so I knock out as many as I can on Tuesdays. I water the plants on Wednesdays. Proud to say that has definitely helped me keep more plants alive. I write thank you notes on Thursdays, and because I'm doing my business finances on Fridays, I can kind of run through finances for our household too. Like I said, this is so helpful for when someone, even if it's your own brain, but someone says, hey, when can we do XYZ? I can say, oh, I have opportunities on Monday and Thursday for us to talk. Let's see what we can find. Okay, you gave your own time blocking a little bit of spring cleaning, and then I talked to you about day batching. Let's zoom in though more. I want to talk to you about a day in and of itself, what that looks like for me. First, this is 100% why I yanked my course, The Art of Efficiency, off the shelf once I had kids, because I looked at my old ways of planning and I thought, pats on head, that's so cute. None of that works anymore. Now that I'm a mom and I have littles, I feel like I have tried to adopt systems that can, I guess, accordion a little bit more than they were probably more rigid before I had kids. They worked, they just didn't work in this stage. So here is how I approach getting like deep work, focused things done. The rule that something has to pass to get in this lane is it needs to require pretty much at least 90%, if not 100% of my brain capacity. I can't have noises going on in the background, whether it's sweet Liza playing or Ninja Turtles. I need to be zoned and in my lane. I need at least one block of this a day, sometimes two. I really try my hardest to get two. I consider this about 1.5 hours on average. So in all, about if I can get 3-ish deep work hours, I'm doing pretty good. Jocelyn Glay, I hope that I'm pronouncing her name right. She has a great book called Unsubscribe that kind of talks about this. Another one is Cal Newport's classic Deep Work, which I loved, but again, it worked really well before I had kids. She talks about that this is your most meaningful work. Work that contributes to your legacy, helps advance your career, expands your skill set. This is the kind of work I'm talking about. Everything else, the other tasks that can be done with a smaller percentage of my brain, kids, family in the house, or when I'm sitting on the couch at night, that stuff does not need a focused time chunk, at least in my book. So within my days, I see my time in 3 different chunks. I'm gonna phrase this off the whole maker in the morning, manager in the afternoon thing I referenced earlier because it works so well. But I have maker time. I've also heard this called sacred time. Sometimes I call it tiger time. Focus time, flow state, don't talk to me mode. You're in your zone here. Chunk number 2 is manager time. So this is reactive time. You're responding to messages, you're getting back to people, you're siphoning off answers to things. You can probably do this work with something going on in the background. And the third chunk, it's not used as often because like I said, I'm having them really focused on 2 days, but meetings. That's the other batch of time I would have in a day. Maker time, manager time, and meetings. Right now, I'll be honest too, I'm in a stage where my oldest is 4 and I'm starting to think about what do we want school to look like? Kind of school do I want him to go to? Just all of those questions that parents think about. And I do love having them home. I also know I'm running a business. I need to support my team, our clients, customers. So I'm trying to figure out those two together. But what I've learned right now is if I can get those 3 to 4 deep-ish hours in 4 days out of the week, 3 sometimes work, I can still run a dang good business. I have a good team. I talked about in my last video how I've built my team over the years. I shouldn't even say they're good. They're out of this world, rock'em sock'em good. Right now, I love to get that chunk of deep work done in the morning, but here is what I really like to do if I get to bed early enough. I weirdly love waking up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and I can go on like a sprint. I can't do this sustainably. If I have a big project, I'll do these. I also will Vox, my friend Abby, will jump on at the same time, turn Zoom on, we'll be in like glasses, coffee cups, not even talk to each other, just wave and both be in our zone. We call them sprints. Tuck that in your back pocket. When the pandemic first started and we were both freaking out about our businesses and if we would be able to survive everything, that's when we first started doing it, and now we've just brought it back when we have big work things going on. I also love a good work sprint, sometimes on a weekend if I can get one, or late at night. I want those pockets of time to also be where I can be just really creative, and I like that I'm not interrupted during those times and the world kind of stops outside late at night or in the morning and you can just kind of be in your lane. I'm gonna let you peek over the shoulder and look through a few pages of my planner so you can see kind of what that looks like. I use the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt's team. I love it. There's a discount code below you can grab. One last tip for you. I've got 6 tools and resources that may help as you figure out or reset your batching. Number 1, you have got to track your time at least for a week, okay? That is the ultimate telltale sign into what is really going on in your life. I have a freebie. You can look down below and grab that. It is nothing fancy. I know there's great tools out there like Toggle, and HoneyBook has a tracker in it. But if you can just get yourself to commit to 7 days on paper tracking your time, you're gonna be able to tell yourself a lot about where your hours are going. Number 2, I mentioned it, that day batching resource, grab it below. Number 3, Brain FM. It is one of my favorite apps. I'm not gonna say my favorite. I have a few favorite apps. I love music and playlists while I'm working, but I find those work great in the manager part of the day when my brain can absorb lyrics and not be completely blown off. But the Brain FM app is good for deep work focus time. And the last 3 tools I have for you. One is this digital clock that sits on my desk. I love it so much. It keeps the time right in front of my face. I know it's on my computer, but I like my clock okay. And then 5 and 6. I know, I love clocks. I've talked about this one before. It comes in like some prettier colors. It's great for visualizing time and running Pomodoro sprints. And then I got this one recently and I really like it because look, see, it's gonna do a countdown at 5, 15, 30 minutes, etc. So changing it up a little bit. Whew, so that is how time blocking is working for me now at this stage in my family and in my business. What I want you to take from this video is set it up if you've never done time blocking or tried it before, but if you have in the past, you probably need a spring cleaning moment, some reset time. I definitely do. Our brain is built for focus. Multitasking is not a virtue, and in fact, it doesn't even work. Hit the like button if this video was helpful. Comment below any questions you may have, or what is the most creative theme day that you've seen? And don't forget to grab your day batching freebie and look below for the waitlist for the Art of Efficiency. I revamped and refreshed it from when I launched it 4 years ago with no kids. I know a lot more about getting stuff done now. You'll be sure to want to see it when it comes out. Now we've talked about time blocking. How do you decide what to do and what's important and what's not, and how do you set goals? I've done a whole video where I dive into my process for figuring out what's even important to do. Watch it next.